Conrad 3, you were dealing with the plaintiff with this PT Cruiser, but prior interactions, when you went in to get some service, you would deal with Conrad Jr., is that right, father?
Conrad Jr., the dad, I dealt with from the very beginning up until, like, for about 6 years. And then he semi-retired. And then
now you're dealing with
Conrad III took over for his dad's business.
So Conrad III, you offered this guy in Mexico to do the work because you claim that the plaintiff, the first time around, was unhappy with how much it cost. She was happy, as she just stated, the quality of the work, but not the cost of it. Is that right?
She was happy with the quality of work, right? Like, it was a great paint job. You know, we had some issues with, like, what was specified, what was going to be done, and what wasn't going to be done for the price. So I told her, well, let me see if I can find you somebody cheaper, right? So I was on the phone with a friend of mine a couple days later, and he recommended me this guy, which I've known him for a long time, actually.
In Mexico.
And
how much was he charging for the paint job?
Initially, the first guy wanted $1,200. So when I showed up in Mexico, he couldn't do it at that time. He left and went on vacation, whatever. I don't know what it was.
So you found a second guy?
I found a second guy that I know him. He told me, well, you know, I can do it probably within around the same time you want for $1,600. So I said, okay, let me speak with the customer. And that's what we,
So he was charging $400 more?
Yeah.
And you were okay with that, ma'am, right?
I was okay with it because I believed that if Conrad recommended the guy and said that he was good, that I would get the same quality with this guy.
And Conrad 3, what were you getting out of the deal?
Nothing. I'm just trying to...
What was the incentive for you?
I'm just trying to settle with her so that she's not unhappy about the previous paint job. I just did it more as a favor because we've known each other for so many years, and we were friends.
How long was the drive to Mexico?
About 6 hours.
I need to interrupt for a second.
Oh, okay.
They own property in Mexico, and they were going down there for the holidays, for Christmas. And I said, well, that's perfect timing if you're going to go drive down there anyway.
Yeah, but they still were doing you a favor.
Right. They were doing me a favor by driving it down there, but they also were going down there anyway.
Yeah, but they didn't also have to spend their time in a garage.
They didn't.
We'll get there, because your text messages were kind of demanding.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Got it.
So what was the time frame that you promised the plaintiff that she'd get her car done?
I believe we took it down there for Christmas, and I think she had said that she needed it back like second week of January or something like that.
And that's what the mechanic said he could do?
Yeah, he said that he could accomplish it in that amount of time.
What happened?
So, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but after they paint the car, they want to let it sit for like a month to let the paint harden really well before you go and color sand and buff the car. Because here, when you have cars painted here, within 2 or 3 days, they're ready to be color sanded and buffed.
Did you tell that to the plaintiff?
Yes, I explained this to her later. You know, he calls me and he tells me, he's like, well, we're gonna have to let it sit for a month. So I went back and I told her, I was like, hey, this guy wants to let it sit and, you know, let the paint harden really well.
You never said that.
And you were communicating with the plaintiff on a regular basis, correct?
Yes.
She reaching out to you every day about the car?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. What isn't true?
He never said it would take a month. When we were talking about how long it would take, he said, when do you need the car back by? And I said, by January 6th. He never said that it would take a month for the paint to cure. And in fact, the paint never cured because it's chipping and it's peeling.
Judge Juarez.
So you had the option to take your car to someone that would do what you knew was an excellent job for $4,000.
Yeah.
And you fully expected the exact same quality, paying half the price?
Because it was based on Conrad's word that it would be as good. Their word meant a lot to me because they've always come through for me.
But you thought it was too much. Do you get the dynamic that's going on? Lower the price for me, do this for me, do this for me. And he's kind of like, yeah, I'm trying. And then you say, like, but he gave me his word. It's like, because you were all over him.
How was I all over him?
Have you seen the texts?
Oh, yeah, I've seen the texts.
You don't think that's all over him?
No, I mean, this is like family. This is like, I've known these guys for a long time. They're like my family. And we've treated each other like family.
You're not going like family, the way that these conversations are happening. I would hope my family member would be far more respectful of my time and help than you are here.